This is David in Las Vegas. I just want to go over my blood test in reference to me being a stroke survivor times two. Well, a stroke, ischemic stroke, and a blood clot in my lung, embolism. Anyway, I had blood. I would go to the doctor, obviously more than most people go through the car wash. Uh, anyway, I had a blood test Friday, and the results already came back. But this is for everybody. They took me off statins a while ago and blood pressure medication because of mainly my diet. I ate so clean, and I ate clean before my stroke, but it didn't. I guess it didn't matter. But anyway, the results came back. I just want to go over how important certain things are. My blood pressure was 99 over 67, which was low. I don't take blood pressure medication, but everything came back good as far as prostate and sugar and blood sugar, creatine, all the other stuff. But my cholesterol levels were off. Okay, my cholesterol was the LDL cholesterol was 115, and the HDL was 32. So obviously it came back red. So they put me back on statins, and it's kind of weird because I eat clean, and it's there's no describing, but I was kind of like set up to have possibly another incident because that is what you have to look out for. What's clogging up in your arteries, and it builds up. Now it was kind of weird because I had kind of low blood pressure with that. So, but I'm back on statins and blood thinner for at least another 2-3 months, and obviously I got off of them or to the doctor because they cause pain, like makes you feel like shit, no doubt. I guess it's not as bad as not be able to walk like it was, but that is key, having blood tests. Whether you had an incident or not, you have to have like a real blood test. And the doctors only can do so much because of the insurance. So you got to push the blood test. It's key. I mean, obviously it tells you what's going on inside before you have an incident. And, it's I can't state it enough. You know what I mean? I I do all the things I supposedly is right, and I'm pretty healthy as far as. But obviously, most of my damage, I had a left side brain stroke, and most of my damage is in the brain and my right side of my body. And I do everything I can to be functional because I meet people around where I live. People have strokes. They're in bad situation. You probably know what I mean. Some people have what they call a mini stroke, and they go to the hospital and they say, and they tell them that I had a severe one. Okay, so everybody's kind of different, but I had one that you probably see people in wheelchairs, and I couldn't walk for a year, and so anyway, it's key to really check. What really matters is the cholesterol count. The good and bad cholesterol. That has to be You have to be on top of that because that's what matters. Okay, and your blood pressure, obviously. Your blood pressure goes up, there's something wrong in your body. And just taking blood pressure medication will not fix what causes the blood pressure to go up. It's like masking a problem in the car instead of just fixing the problem. So the only reason your blood pressure goes up is because your heart works harder, because something is not right. And usually there's something clogging the artery walls, okay? We already know this. The artery walls are getting clogged up of fat, and it clenches on the arteries, and the heart just works harder to force the blood, and eventually something gives. My situation, I kind of had high blood pressure, and the doctors didn't put me on medication in my whole 50s. I'm 65. My whole 50s, my blood pressure was 150 over 90, 95, and I even said to the doctor, "You're not high?" They go, "Well, you work out, you're not heavy. No, you're all right." And obviously I was living under very high stress being a single parent with 3 kids. And, I kind of did it to myself. I over fabricated my own mind, my position in life of stressing. And stress is huge because stress with the cortisol, you know, makes your blood thick, getting ready for war. I mean, you will probably understand all these principles of how the body works. When you stress all the time, your blood gets thicker, especially if you don't hydrate enough water. You know, and water is another key that's not talked about, that you need to drink, you know, a gallon of water a day. And the older you get, the more you need. Because when you get older, you don't have the thirst as much because you don't do as much. So, but you need the water to help thin the blood and flush your body. But it's very, very critical, you know, to have water, not anything else. And try to stick to drinking water and don't ever drink calories. You know, calories meaning like, don't drink sodas. Obviously, I shouldn't be having to say to anybody, don't drink sodas. And, you know, juice drinks and all those things. Um, you know, it's just, you're drinking empty calories and you're spiking your blood sugar. And you eventually cause, you know, diabetes, and which will get into heart disease. You know, you just have to put a little time and effort into your thought process. As basically, I meet people that have strokes at 35. I met a guy that he was in a wheelchair, living with his family. My biggest fear is to have another health incident like that and live. Okay, I don't want to be like that, and I don't want anybody else to be like that, because I mean, it's tough enough to live. You know, obviously today, I don't know. I'm just talking about my financial situation and what I see people around in Las Vegas. Okay, so I'm not, I don't know. If you know, like anything in life, if you have enough money, you'll have enough family and friends to help you out when you're sick. But if you don't have that, you can forget it, because you become like a dog in the shelter, you know. So it's just the way facts are. And I don't have the backup plan upset my kids, and I don't want to be a burden to my children. So, you know, I just try to be as good as I can till I drop out and leave this world. I do not want to hang around. And a lot of it boils down to, you don't if you can only live as long as you have the finances to live. You know, that's basically it. How long can you afford to be alive? And that's the truth. You know, that's just really the truth of it all. Um, I mean, again, if you have set up your retirement, you have money, I'm sure you'll always have friends and family around. There's no doubt about it. There's nothing buys loyalty in life like money. And shame on me. Well, not shame on me. I didn't plan to have a stroke. I was financially okay. Okay. I was a single parent with 3 kids, but I've been a trainer my whole life. I owned a used car dealership while I had a stroke. Again, that kind of blew up that business. Um, and I was in bail bonds before that, but I've been a personal trainer and been about competitive bodybuilder. Shame on me that I ever left the gym life, because everything else sucked after that. Being in bail bonds is like, I don't know what to say, you know, meeting pedophiles, meeting just people been arrested 5, 6 times for domestic violence, 5, 6 times for DUIs. You have to say to me, what the hell's wrong with you, man? I mean, what could be wrong with somebody that gets arrested 5, 6 times for these things, you know, repeatedly? And obviously, they have the money, or they're usually it's the parents come, you know, sign their home. You know, in bail bonds, you already know you have to collateralize any of your bail. So, and be careful about signing for anybody, because you'll have bail bondsmen in your home taking your TV, and you know they have the right to come in your home and violate everything you have. People don't realize what they sign, you know. But anyway, this is just a food for thought for just in general survival. Shame on me again. I left the training world. Maybe that's God making me pay with that stroke. But everything else sucked after that, and now that's why I'm back helping people. And I truly can. I have 45 years, 50 years of weight training and diet experience. And truly, I was the last person to have these health incidents. If you ask normal people about who knew me, but I guess God, if you want to say God, wanted to teach me a lesson, and He did. You know that don't take anything for granted. Every day you have that's healthy, you're wealthy. I tell people when I see them, you know, they complain about, you know, this and that. I'm like, you know, you'll see one day you'll have something that'll put all that in the back page. That you'll have a real complaint. You lose your health, you lose everything. But you don't realize it till you lose it. But anyway, I'm just want to share my blood test with you. Everything else it's right here. Came back all right, but my cholesterol was drastically changed to negatively, so I'm back on statins, and that's key for you to always make sure that your cholesterol level's in your arteries, okay? But again, you have to push the doctors for blood tests. You have to push them because of insurance reasons, they don't just say, you know, but you have to kind of demand it and find out what's going on internally yourself, you know, and anyway, that's that for now, but stay healthy. And anyway, I put a short up about I donate blood. I just did it Sunday. I've been doing that ever since I had my stroke. It thins out the blood. And you know what? I can't go out and start a rescue fund for people, but I can give blood. I've given it 15 times since I had my stroke. And, you know, I know people are very anti-blood. My own family is, my kids. You know, but, you know, you go in the hospital and your kid or you were sick or had a car accident and, you know, they need blood. And they told you that, hey, you know, we don't have it. You know, again, that's how we are as people. We really don't care about anything but ourselves till it happens. You know what I mean? It's just life. But stay strong. And obviously, I'm going to go over exercise, but there's so much to go over. I mean, it just can't that. But this video basically is about your internal, what's going on, your blood test. Okay, what's going on with your cholesterol in your arteries, obviously your blood pressure, and just your general what's going on inside. If you haven't had any health incidents, that's how you try to help prevent that. Blood pressure and cholesterol. And don't think it's okay. You meet people that have never had I don't know. You know, I can't even believe this happened to me because I was a doctor freak my whole life. Go to doctor as much as I can every 6 months. But take care. I'm David in Las Vegas. Check on yourself and your blood pressure and your cholesterol.